The wind howled like a dying beast outside the bunker. Snow slammed against the metal walls, trying to find a way in. Eli sat near the small fire. Rubbing his hands for warmth, he had been alone for many days. No one came to this part of Sector 9. Anymore, it was too cold, too dead, too forgotten. He had just finished his dried meal when he heard it. A sound, soft but sharp. Knock, knock. Eli froze. No one should be out there. Not in this storm. He grabbed his rifle and stepped toward the steel door. Another knock. Weaker this time, then a voice faint and broken. Please. Please help. Eli's fingers hovered over the lock. It could be a trap, a raider's trick, or worse, an infected creature mutated by the frost. But then he heard something else. A child crying, soft, helpless. Something inside him cracked. He opened the door just a little. Snow blew in like smoke. And there she stood. A tall, thin, alien woman wrapped in torn fabric. Her skin was pale blue, lips cracked, and eyes full of pain. In her shaking arms, a small girl, barely moving. I don't want to stay, the woman whispered. But she hasn't eaten in 2 days. Eli looked at them, broken, weak, and desperate. He didn't move, not yet. Then the woman stepped closer, eyes glassy from cold. The only thing I have left is my body, she said. Her voice cracked like ice. Please feed my daughter tonight. My body is yours. Human, Eli's chest tightened. He had seen war, hunger, and betrayal. But this was something else. Get in, he said quietly, pulling them inside. He shut the door behind them as the storm screamed outside. The woman collapsed near the fire, her arms still holding the child tight. The girl's skin was turning purple. From cold, Eli grabbed his last heat blanket and wrapped her up. He gave them water and a few food packs. The woman took none for herself. She gave it all to her child. My name is Eli, he said. Sitting down, the woman didn't answer right away. She stared at the fire, her hands shaking. Finally, she said, Rila. She's called Mira. Where are you from? Eli asked. East Complex. She replied slowly. They used us there, women like me, for breeding. When I escaped, they chased us. Eli felt cold even with the fire. Why come here? Because this place is marked dead, she whispered. They won't search in a grave. Eli looked at Mira, asleep in the blanket, her small chest rising and falling slowly. What's wrong with her? He asked. She's weak, Rila said, born in pain. But special. Eli didn't like the way she said it. Special. He'd heard those words before. In the war, kids made in labs, trained to obey. Are they after her too? Rila nodded. They'll come. Maybe tomorrow, maybe next week. Eli leaned back, rubbing his face. He had supplies for himself. Not for 3, but could he throw them out? Not after what he saw. Not after what he heard. Rila turned to him, her eyes glowing faintly in the firelight. I meant what I said, she said, quietly. I'll give you anything. Just save her. Eli stood, picked up a second blanket, and tossed it at her. Rest, he said. We'll talk later. She nodded slowly and curled up near her daughter. Eli watched them for a long time. He didn't touch his gun, but he didn't sleep either. There was something strange about the girl, something he didn't understand yet. Outside, the storm grew stronger, but inside the bunker, for the first time in years, Eli wasn't alone. Anymore, the blizzard outside didn't stop. It roared like a wild beast trapped in ice. But inside the bunker, things were quiet. Too quiet. Eli checked the outer sensors. No motion. No heat signatures. Still, his gut said something wasn't right. He glanced over at the 2 figures near the fire. The alien woman, Rila, lay curled next to her sleeping child, both breathing, both alive. But for how long? He couldn't sleep. His bunker was built for one man. One plan, one gun. Now there were 3 bodies. 2 of them fragile and 1 unknown. He didn't trust her yet. He couldn't. As morning light tried to push through the storm clouds, Eli boiled water and made some old nutrient broth. The smell woke Rilla. She opened her eyes slowly. Her body stiff from the cold. "Eat," he said, handing her a metal cup. She took it with shaking hands. "Thank you," she whispered. Her eyes avoided his. "You didn't eat anything last night," Eli said. "All for the girl." Rilla nodded. "She's all I have." "What about the others?" he asked, sitting across from her. She paused, then looked up. "There are no others." Eli leaned back, watching her carefully. "Tell me the truth," he said. "You said you escaped a breeding colony." She flinched, but nodded. "Why were you there? Were they doing?" Rilla looked at Mira, who was still asleep. She took a deep breath. "They take women from certain bloodlines," she began slowly, "ones with strong genetics or unusual traits. They want hybrid children." Eli frowned. "Hybrid?" Rilla looked him in the eye now. "They want to mix alien DNA with humans," she said. "See what comes out stronger." "I was one of the first test mothers." Eli's hands curled into fists. He had heard rumors of this during the war. Black site labs, women forced to birth modified children. Most didn't survive. "Is Mira one of them?" he asked, his voice low. Rilla nodded slowly. "She wasn't supposed to live." "But she did. She looks normal," Eli said. "She's not," Rilla whispered. "She's learning things faster than she should. Sometimes she hears voices. Sometimes she tells me what will happen before it happens." Eli felt a coldness that had nothing to do with the storm. "What are you saying?" "I think she was the only success," Rilla said. "But she's still a child. She needs safety, love, food. That's all I ever wanted to give her." Eli looked at the small girl, still asleep under the blanket. She didn't look dangerous. She looked lost, just like her mother. "And now?" he asked. "Are they hunting you?" Rilla nodded. "They never let anyone leave. I stole something when I ran data, maybe blood samples. They will never stop looking." "You brought them here," Eli said quietly. "Yes," she whispered, tears filling her eyes. "I didn't know where else to go. This sector is marked uninhabitable." Eli stood and walked toward the storage wall. He opened a hidden panel and pulled out a small device, a scanner. He pointed it at Rilla's arm. The scanner beeped red. "What's that?" she asked, alarmed. "Tracker," Eli replied. "They put one inside you." Rilla's face went pale. "They'll find us." Eli tossed the scanner onto the table and grabbed a small surgical tool. "Hold still," he said. "This is going to hurt." Rilla didn't flinch. She just held her daughter tighter as Eli sliced into her arm. He found the tracker, tiny. Metal chip hand crushed it under his boot. "Done," he said, wiping blood from her skin. She looked at him with wide eyes. "Why are you helping us?" Eli didn't answer right away. He looked out the small window, white snow still falling. "You said you had nothing left," he said finally. "But you were wrong. You still have her." She nodded slowly, tears slipping down her cheeks. Eli turned back toward the fire. "We'll need to move soon," he said. "If they were tracking you, they may already be near. But I have traps set outside. Let's hope they're enough." Suddenly, Mira stirred. She sat up, blinking sleep from her eyes. Then she looked straight at Eli and said, "They're coming. Tonight?" Eli froze. He hadn't told her anything, hadn't spoken loud enough to hear. "How do you know?" he asked. Mira simply pointed to the door. "Bad ones?" she said softly. "2 men, 1 drone, big gun." Rilla clutched her daughter tight. "She's never wrong," she whispered. Eli stared at the child. Then he went to the weapon wall. He started loading his rifle. Tonight, it seemed, would be a long night. The snowstorm had passed, but the silence it left behind was worse. Eli stood on the roof of the bunker, scanning the horizon with old binoculars. White everywhere, but Mira's warning still echoed in his mind. 2 men, 1 drone, big gun. She had said, and she was right, just before dawn. Eli had spotted footprints in the snow to adult-sized sets heading east. They circled the ridge, paused near the rocks, then disappeared. He had seen faint drone trails in the sky, too just for a second. Too quick, too silent. He returned inside and sealed the door. Rila sat near the heater, holding Mira close. The girl looked pale but calm. Still nothing. Rila asked. Eli shook his head. They're watching, waiting, he said. They won't strike during daylight. To open, then we don't have much time. Rila said quietly. She placed Mira on the small cot, then walked over to Eli. There's something I need to show you. She rolled up her sleeve. Thin lines glowed under her skin like circuitry. Not tattoos, not scars, living tech fused to her body. Eli stared. What is that? Biolinked implants, Rila explained. They called me a prototype model EVE-17. They injected control tech into my nervous system to make me more obedient. But when Mira was born, something changed. Eli's face darkened. He remembered stories from the war about alien experiments, captured women, and biomothers grown in vats. Some humans believed those stories were just fear talk. But here she was, living proof. Mira's not just my daughter, Rila continued. She altered me somehow, like her body rejected the commands wired into me. She freed me, without knowing it. Eli glanced toward the child. She was awake now, staring at the ceiling. Her lips moved silently, as if talking to someone. Who is she really? He asked. I don't know, Rila replied. But I think she's more than they expected. Just then, the lights flickered. Eli spun around, grabbing his rifle. Power cut. No, Rila said slowly, not a cut. A signal. She touched her temple and winced. They're trying to activate something. Inside me, Eli opened the emergency compartment and handed her a jammer device. She pressed it against her skin and sighed in relief. That'll block them for now, he said. Hey. But they're getting closer. Suddenly, Mira sat up and spoke. There, under the snow, Eli turned, confused. What? Under, she repeated, pointing toward the east wall of the bunker. They're digging through the ice. Eli rushed to the scanner and switched to thermal mode. Cold shadows flickered across the edge of the screen to heat signatures moving. Slowly, a third dot mechanical. Mira had seen it before the machine could. They're trying to breach from the side, Eli said. Smart. They think I'll guard the front. He opened a hatch on the floor and pulled out a long case. Inside was a pulse-mined tech from the rebellion. Still dangerous. I'll bury this near the east wall. He said, if they dig too close, it'll take them out. Rila stood beside him. Holding a small blade. I'll help, she said. No, Eli replied. Stay here and protect Mira. I'll be back in 5. Eli moved fast, crawling through the maintenance tunnel under the bunker. He emerged behind a snowdrift and placed the mine quietly. No noise, no footprints. He covered it with ice and slid back inside. When he returned, Rila was standing frozen in front of Prinsa. Mira, the child, was glowing just slightly. Faint lines of light ran across her forehead and hands. Something's happening, Rila whispered. She's seeing something. Mira opened her mouth. They're not just hunters, she said in a soft voice. One of them used to work in the lab. He wants me back. He thinks I'm his project. Eli's blood ran cold. They'll never get near her, he growled. Rila nodded, tears in her eyes. Thank you, she whispered. Even if I die, just make sure she lives. Eli stared at her. No, he said firmly. We all live, or none of us do. The bunker lights dimmed again, this time darker, deeper. Then a thud echoed from the east wall. The enemy was here, digging, slow and careful. But Eli was ready. He placed his hand on the detonator and waited. "They have no idea what kind of human I am," he said softly. Then he smiled. "Let's show them." The sun never fully rose in Sector 9. Just a dull gray light that faded again into cold darkness. And tonight, that darkness felt thicker, heavier, like it knew something was coming. Inside the bunker, Eli stood near the east wall, holding the detonator. The thermal scanner showed two bodies and a drone getting closer just meters away. Rilla stayed behind with Mira, crouched low in the shadows. The bunker's fire was out now, the heat low, the lights dimmed. They were hiding in silence. Waiting thud. The sound echoed through the floor, then another. Ice breaking, soil shifting. They were digging directly into the wall, just where Eli had buried the pulse mine. He raised the trigger, his finger hovering over the switch. But he waited. Closer, closer. A metal drill poked through the wall, then a gloved hand. The intruder peeked in with a flashlight. He started to crawl. I pressed the button. Boom! A flash of blue light lit up the wall. The explosion rocked the bunker. Snow flew through the air vent. The invading tunnel collapsed in flames. One scream echoed down, then silence. Rilla covered Mira's ears as dust rained from the ceiling. Eli checked the scanner. One red dot vanished. The second was down but still alive. The drone remained, now flying fast in circles above. "They'll try again," he said. From another angle, suddenly, a sharp buzzing filled the air. The drone's signal had locked on the bunker. "Take cover," Eli shouted. The ceiling shook as something small and deadly dropped through the vent. A flash grenade. Boom. The room lit up with burning light. Rilla screamed and shielded Mira. Eli rolled to the side and fired up toward the vent. The drone tried to escape, but he clipped its wing. It spun out and crashed into the floor, sparking wildly. Eli ran over and smashed it with his boot until it stopped moving. "Everyone okay?" he shouted. Rilla nodded weakly, but Mira was trembling. She pointed at the east wall. "He's still alive," she said. Eli grabbed his rifle and stepped outside through the service hatch. The wind bit into his skin. The snow glowed faintly where the mine had exploded, and just beyond the crater, a figure crawled through the ice. Wounded but moving, covered in thick armor. Part human, part machine, a bounty hunter. With glowing red eyes and a metal claw on one arm, Eli raised his rifle. "Stop right there," he said. The man looked up and laughed. "You must be Eli," he growled. "I heard you were tough, but she belongs to the syndicate." Eli's finger tightened on the trigger. "She's a child," he said. "She belongs to no one." "You don't understand," the bounty hunter coughed. "She's not just a child, she's a key. A weapon grown from stolen genes. She was made to unlock the next stage." Eli shot him in the shoulder. "Wrong answer," he said. The man fell back into the snow, groaning in pain. "You won't survive the night," Eli warned. "We'll see," the hunter muttered and pressed something on his chest. Suddenly, a second drone flew overhead, this one bigger. Armed, it fired 2 blasts at the bunker's roof. The top corner exploded, sending metal pieces into the air. Eli turned and ran back inside. "Move deeper," he yelled. He grabbed Rilla and Mira and led them into the hidden back tunnel. Behind them, the bunker shook, the old walls crumbling. They reached a narrow hallway that led to the emergency shelter. Small, tight, but safe for now. Eli sealed the door and bolted it shut. They sat in darkness, breathing hard. "Will it hold?" Rilla asked. "For a while," Eli said, "but not forever." Mira touched Eli's hand. "More will come," she said softly. "The man outside called me the key. What did he mean?" Rilla looked at her daughter, eyes full of pain. "They built you for control," she said. "You can connect to machines, override systems, read minds. They think they own that power, but they don't." Eli stared at the child, so small, yet calm. "Then we need to protect you," he said, "not just from the syndicate, but from the people who'll want to use you." A silence settled in the small room. Then Mira said something strange. "I don't want to be a key," she whispered. "I just want to stay here." Eli knelt down beside her. "You're not a weapon," he said gently. "You're a person, and I'll fight anyone who says otherwise." Outside, the wind howled again. The bunker was broken. The night was long, but in that dark tunnel, something had changed. 3 strangers now becoming something more. Not just survivors, but family. The emergency shelter was cold, dark, and silent. They had sealed the hatch behind them, locking out the wind, the drones, and the death above. But the silence inside was heavier than any blizzard. Rila sat beside Mira, gently rubbing her tiny hands. The girl was warm, glowing slightly in the shadows. Her eyes didn't blink much. They just stared into nothing. Like she was seeing something far beyond the room. Eli leaned against the metal wall. Rifle beside him, eyes tired but sharp. He hadn't slept in 2 days. His hands still shook from the last fight. But his mind was clear now, more than ever before. He stared at Rila, at the alien woman who had knocked on his door just days ago. She had offered her body in desperation, but now she offered something far more valuable: truth, and the truth was hard to carry. "I never wanted this," Rila said softly, breaking the silence. Eli turned his head toward her. "I didn't ask to be made, to be sold, to escape, to run," she whispered. "All I wanted was to raise my daughter in peace." "She's not just your daughter," Eli said. "She's something else. Something more." Rila nodded slowly. "Yes," she said. "But I still love her like any mother would." Eli looked at the girl. She hadn't said a word in hours, but she was awake, thinking, feeling, waiting. "She's changing," he said. "Since the drone attack, she hasn't spoken once. She's connecting." Rila said, "To the tech outside. Her body is scanning everything: frequencies, metal, energy. She's learning without asking." Eli sat down across from them, his voice low. "You said she was born in pain. What kind of pain?" Rila took a shaky breath. "I was forced into the lab," she began. "They tested dozens of embryos inside me. Only one held. Only one lived. She grew too fast. Spoke too early. Walked by 6 months. But when she looked at me..." Rila's voice cracked. She didn't look like a weapon. She looked like hope. Eli stayed silent. He thought about the world beyond Sector 9. The cities full of corrupted governments, alien syndicates, powerful companies. What would they do if they knew about Mira? Use her, clone her, control her. He clenched his fists. "I'm going to ask you something," he said, "and I want the truth." Rila looked up. "If I take Mira away somewhere safe, far from here, what would you do?" Rila didn't answer for a moment. Then she whispered, "I would die inside, but I would still say yes." Eli felt something heavy move in his chest. "Why?" "'Cause I'm her mother," Rila said, tears sliding down her cheeks. "And mothers don't think about themselves." Eli stood and paced, running his fingers through his hair. Everything inside him wanted to run, to take the girl, to hide her from the world, but something stronger held him back: his humanity. He turned back to Rila, his voice rough. "You don't have to give her up," he said. "Not if we fight together." Rila looked up, shocked. "But you said..." "I changed my mind," Eli said. "I've been alone too long. I thought I had nothing left to protect, but now I do." She covered her mouth, choking back a sob. "You don't even know us," she whispered. "I know enough," Eli said. "I know you're not a machine. I know she's not a weapon, and I know the world won't protect her, but I will." A soft sound broke their moment. Mara's voice. She blinked and looked at Eli. "You will help me?" she asked. Eli nodded slowly. always. Her eyes sparkled like stars. "Then, I will help you too," she said, and then, suddenly, the walls around them lit up. Faint blue lights pulsed along the floor and ceiling. Old circuits, long dead. Suddenly alive, Mira had connected herself to the shelter's buried tech. She was turning it into something new. "What is she doing?" Eli asked, stepping back. Rila's mouth hung open. "She's upgrading it," she whispered. "She's building us a way out." Mira smiled gently. "There's a ship buried here," she said. "I can wake it up, but I'll need more time." Eli stared in awe. A buried ship. A chance to escape this cursed land. Maybe even reach a colony where no one would find them. It was more hope than he had dared to believe in. Then he heard a voice through the broken comm system crackling in a deep alien tone. "You are surrounded," it said. "Surrender the girl, or we bring the bunker down." Rila looked at Eli. "What do we do?" He picked up his rifle and smiled. "We buy her time." The shelter shook as another warning blast hit above. Snow and dust rained from the ceiling. The voice on the radio repeated, louder this time, "Last chance. Surrender the hybrid." Eli moved fast, grabbing weapons, slings, extra batteries, and food packs. Mira sat calmly in the center of the room, wires from the floor crawling up her small fingers. Blue sparks glowed on her palms as she whispered in a strange voice. "She's talking to the ship buried under us," Rila said in awe. "She's waking it." Eli turned to the far wall, where he had once seen nothing but metal. Now the light flickered across it, forming shapes: a hidden door, a hidden path. "Can she open that?" he asked. "She already has," Mira replied, her voice strangely older. The door slowly slid open with a hiss, revealing a dark ramp leading downward. Cold air rushed out, mixed with metal and dust. "Go, both of you," Eli said. "Rifle in hand. I'll slow them down from here." Rila stepped forward, placing her hand on his arm. "You're not dying alone," she said. "Either we make it out together, or none of us do." He stared at her for a second, then gave a sharp nod. They grabbed Mira and started down the ramp behind them. The shelter's ceiling cracked against something big was landing overhead. The corridor below was lit with flickering lights. Ancient alien tech, rusted, dormant, but still alive beneath the snow. The walls hummed as Mira walked ahead, guiding them without fear. "She knows this place," Rila whispered. "She's never been here," Eli said. "But she was built for it." Deeper inside, they reached a large chamber. And there it was, a black and silver ship, half buried in rock and ice, unlike any human or alien vessel Eli had ever seen. It was smooth, no visible doors, no cockpit. It looked grown, not built. Mira stepped forward and placed her hand on the hull. Lights burst awake, running down the ship's sides like rivers of light. A low hum vibrated the floor. "She's calling it," Rila said. "It's listening behind them." A blast echoed from above. The upper shelter was breached. Footsteps, many, echoed down the tunnel. "Cover her," Eli said, raising his rifle. Rila picked up a plasma cutter from the wall and nodded. They stood at the entrance while Mira continued her strange connection. Two soldiers in full black armor appeared in the hallway. "Drop your weapons," one shouted. Eli answered with a shot to the chest, armor piercing. The soldier flew back. The second ducked behind the wall and fired blindly. Rila moved like lightning, slicing at his legs with the cutter. He fell screaming, and she finished him quickly. "More were coming. We don't have time," Eli shouted. Then Mira's voice filled the chamber. "Get in," she said. The ship opened, just split in the center like a blooming flower. A soft, glowing interior awaited them. Eli and Rila ran inside, pulling Mira with them. As soon as they were in, the ship sealed shut. No seams, no door, just smooth silence. Eli looked around, amazed. There were no controls, just a central chamber with soft light and walls that pulsed gently. "It's alive," he whispered. Mira walked to the center and placed her hand on the glowing floor. "I am the key," she said. The ship responded, lifting gently off the ground. Breaking through the ice above, outside, the Syndicate soldiers stared in shock as the ancient ship rose from the snow like a ghost. They fired uselessly, their bullets bouncing off the hull. The ship hovered, turned, and blasted into the sky. Leaving fire in its path, inside, Rila sank to the floor in relief. Eli sat beside her, panting, bruised, but alive. Mira stood tall in the center, her eyes glowing like stars. "You did it." Rila whispered, "No," Mira said softly. "We did." Eli looked out the viewing window as the clouds rushed past. "Where are we going?" he asked. "Somewhere safe," Mira replied. "There's a planet far from the Syndicate's reach. I saw it in the data. A place where no one knows us. But they'll come again," Eli warned. "They'll track us," Mira nodded. "That's why we won't just hide. We'll build something new. A home for all the others like me." Rila touched Eli's hand gently. "Thank you," she said, "for choosing to protect us." Eli smiled faintly. "I didn't choose." He said, "It chose me," as the stars opened before them, and the Syndicate world fell behind. A mother, her gifted child, and one stubborn. Humans sped toward a future none of them had asked for, but together they would decide what came next. The ship soared through the stars, past debris fields, broken satellites, and fading colonies. Mira stood at the front of the chamber, eyes locked on the glowing map floating before her. Lines of light shifted and bent, guiding the vessel toward a planet hidden beyond Syndicate space. Eli and Rila sat beside the soft walls, catching their breath. No alarms, no gunfire, no hunger. For the first time in days, there was peace, but it didn't last. The ship's light dimmed just slightly. A warning hum echoed. "They found us," Mira whispered. A second ship had entered orbit behind them, smaller, faster, but deadly. It was a Syndicate Hunter-class vessel, built for one purpose: capture. "No weapons?" Eli asked. "This ship was made to flee, not fight," Mira said, her face calm but sad. Eli stood, loaded his rifle anyway. "If they catch us, they'll tear her apart," he said. "And they'll break Rila too." "No," Mira said. Softly, "They want all of us now. They've seen what we can become." Suddenly, the floor of the ship pulsed this time. A voice echoed around them, not Mira's, but the ship itself. "Emergency mode activated. Pilot override. Human consciousness detected." "What does that mean?" Rila asked, standing fast. Eli looked around, confused. Then Mira walked over and took his hand. "It's choosing you," she said. "You fought for me. You protected us without needing control." The floor beneath Eli rose, lifting him to a glowing core in the ceiling. He didn't fight it. The ship wrapped him in light knot, trapping him, but merging with him. Memories flooded his mind, not just his, but Rila's, Mira's, even the ship's. He saw ancient wars, lost planets, the first humans taken by the Syndicate. He saw pain, but also a chance. "Eli," Rila called out. He opened his eyes, and they glowed white, like starlight. "I'm here," he said, "but I'm not just me anymore." Outside, the Hunter ship fired blasts of plasma hit their hull. The vessel shook, but did not break. From deep within, something answered. The ship changed. Its silver walls hardened, forming edges, fins, and weapons that weren't there before. Old memories turned into new power. "Let's finish this," Eli said. His voice echoed like thunder. The ship turned faster than before. Laser beams lit up the stars. The Syndicate Hunter dodged, but Eli's ship was smarter now. Each move predicted, every blast countered. Until one final surge of energy exploded from their vessel. a beam of pure white light. Forged from Mira's mind and Eli's will, the enemy ship cracked apart, drifting. Into space like dust, silence returned, inside. Mira collapsed. Rila rushed to her, holding her close. "She's weak," she said. "Too much energy." She gave it all to the ship. Eli knelt down, no longer glowing, but still connected. "She'll live," he said gently. "But she needs rest." They floated quietly for hours, letting Mira sleep. The ship followed her last command award, the hidden world she had chosen. Soon, a planet came into view, blue and green, with twin suns and no satellites unmarked on any syndicate map. "It's perfect," Rilla whispered. The ship landed gently on a high plateau. Surrounded by waterfalls and forests, the hatch opened for the first time in peace. They stepped out into fresh air, real sunlight. Eli looked at the sky. "We made it," he said. Rilla nodded, tears in her eyes. "But this is just the start." They built a small shelter using the ship's materials. Mira woke days later, smiling and stronger. She no longer glowed, but her eyes still held starlight. More came after others, like Rilla. Broken mothers, escaped experiments, outcasts. And rebels, Eli sent signals across the stars, not begging for help, but offering it. They didn't run anymore. They built a home, a family, a future. One day, Mira stood on the cliff's edge, now a little older. She looked up at the stars and said, "I used to be afraid of what I was, but now I know I'm not a weapon. I'm a beginning." Eli stood beside her, weathered and proud. "You're more than that," he said. "You're hope." And as the wind carried their words across the quiet land, the world began to change. One human's decision, one mother's love, one child's light. Together, they rewrote the future. The end.